Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Delighted to welcome Ashwini Vaishnaw, the dynamic Union Minister of Railways, apart from the Ministry of Electronics, Information Technology and Telecommunications and Post. So that's a lot that you have. Ashwini ji actually straddles the divide. Having been a highly successful bureaucrat, Babu, he is now crossed over and heads some of the most important ministries that we have, particularly with reference to the infrastructure conclave that we have, very critical to it. And the fact that the railways got double the capital budget outlay this time indicates how importantly the union government thinks of, and particularly Prime Minister Modi thinks of the portfolios that he holds. Let's get down to brass tacks straight away, Ashwini, if you don't mind. And what are you doing with so much money? You're the envy of every minister. You get so much.
Yeah, thanks a lot for this invite. I must give you the full context of how the strategy for railways is. As you are aware, our economy growing at about 6 to 8%, that band. This means the demand for logistics, especially cargo, that also is growing at a pace which is faster than this, which is almost 1.4 or 1.5 times the growth of GDP. Now, if we were to depend only upon road, imagine how much more pollution, how much more oil requirement will be there. So that's why our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji he's executing a very well thought through strategy. The first piece of strategy is to electrify the railways, right?
Right.
So that's why in the last 9.5 years, 40,000 kilometers of electrical tracks, railway tracks have been electrified. Now electricity is basically generated using fuel, energy from our own sources, Indian sources. Now the focus is on laying more tracks. So in the last 9.5 years, we have laid about 25,000 kilometers of tracks. Wow. Last year itself, we laid about 5,200 kilometers of tracks. So 5,200 kilometers, to give you perspective, entire network of Switzerland is 5,000 kilometers.
Oh, okay.
So it's like
you added a Switzerland.
Adding one Switzerland in 1 year. So having more tracks, having electrified railway, producing more locomotives, inducting more wagons, that means as we grow, we should be able to shift a large part of the cargo from road to railway.
What is the percentage right now? If you
So historically, it used to be 80% by rail about 70 years back. Over a period of time, it came down to 27%, and now it has come back to 29%.
Okay. So you are now hoping to up
35% is our target by 2030. And with that, our dependence on oil import should significantly reduce. And over a period of, let's say, from 2030 to 2047, we should be in a position where we should do about 55% of the cargo by rail. So that means our dependence on oil has to significantly reduce, and for that we need investments in railways, and that's what we are using this budget allocation for.
Now we noticed that the speed of passenger, and we're looking at also on the other side, moving people rapidly. The Vande Bharat trains have come in a large way. They're moving at about 160 kilometers, or to what's your max speed that you are looking at the moment? 160, 170?
So at surface, we have to look at the constraints of our country, right?
Right.
When we do transportation on surface, we have to think of cattle which come onto the tracks. We have to think of people who come onto the tracks. We have to look at the almost flat terrain in large parts of the country. With those constraints, we are looking at 130 kmph as the standard speed and 160 kmph in selected sections.
If you have to move towards much faster trains, as we have seen in Japan, in Europe, the bullet trains that were there, you've got one of those coming up soon. How many of those would you like to introduce? What is the balance you'd like to keep between the Vande Bharats and the bullet trains?
So globally, if you see, almost all countries, including Japan, China, Taiwan, South Korea, all of them constructed elevated passenger corridors.
Right.
So passenger corridors are basically elevated, and they are designed for 250 to 350 kmph speed, which is what our Ahmedabad to Mumbai corridor is. Once you have elevated passenger corridors, the surface area, the surface tracks, they get freed for cargo movement.
Right.
Cargos should normally move at 60, 55 kmph because cargo train is very heavy. So let's say a normal iron ore train will be 7,000 tons. A normal coal train will be about 5,500 tons. So 5,500 tons multiplied by velocity, that much momentum is there. So that's why cargo train should not have that much velocity. Cargo train generally should move at 50 to 55 kmph as the peak speed, and passenger train should move at 250 to 300 kmph.
And when do you think we could get there in terms of...
Our first corridor is doing very well. It's growing, it's progressing very rapidly. We have already constructed about 235 kilometers of it, and it's going on as per our progress. It's going on very well. In fact, recently the Japanese Prime Minister sent a special delegation to see how India is progressing so fast. They were really amazed, and I must also share with you, many of the people who are working on this project, there are industries from Rajkot, industries from Baroda, they have become exporters of the technology.
Oh, okay.
So this is a very, very interesting thing. These are very precision molds, and these precision molds, when we use them in the manufacturing of girders and all, they started now exporting to the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I just, before Anilesh comes in with a question, I know he's all triggered to do this, but one question coming back to the cargo side. We have two dedicated freight corridors that have been there, the eastern and western.
Almost completed now.
That's what I wanted to ask you. What is the progress?
Yeah,
How much
almost,
movement and what will it do once both are ready fully?
So the two freight corridors basically connect the eastern parts of the country to the northern part and northern part to the western part. So these two corridors are now almost complete. I must tell you, before 2014, I'm asking the audience, how much of the freight corridors were commissioned? How many kilometers of freight corridors were commissioned?
Abhishek has already put up his hand. He knows the answer, but you tell us.
Zero.
Really?
Zero.
I thought Mr. Modi had completed his section. Because
2014.
when I interviewed him and he was Gujarat Chief Minister, he said he had finished his...
He had given the land.
Right.
But the central government, UPA government, was not even willing to do the work even when land was available, right?
Right. Okay.
So 2014 to 2023, we have done about 1,600 kilometers of it.
Wow. And when do you see it actually...
It's actually operational. We are doing close to 400 trains a day.
And how will that therefore increase the capacity
Significantly.
as compared to what you're currently doing?
Significantly. See, I must also share with you another very important part of Prime Minister's vision. The way Shraddha Atalji, he did 4-laning of highways, right? Highway construction started when Atalji was the Prime Minister. Exactly in the same way, Modi ji is 4-laning, some places 6-laning, most of the large railway sections. So the entire Golden Quadrilateral, the diagonals, many of the big, very busy sections, all those sections Modi ji has put a clear focus, and he is either 4-laning or 6-laning those. So this is going to make a huge difference. The existing freight corridors, these corridors itself, they have given us so much now ample space for timely maintenance, for making sure that we can have smoother passage of the passenger trains and quicker transportation of the goods trains. For example, today a coal carrying train from Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh area can reach the Punjab and Himachal power generating stations in about 30%, about 35% less time. So that's a very big difference. Yeah.
Well, we look forward to that. Just a little aside, since you mentioned Mr. Vajpayee, maybe not many people know, but he was private secretary to Mr. Vajpayee, and that's when I met him. So he knows.
Our friendship goes long.
And sir, at that time he was tracking infrastructure only, if I'm not wrong, Ashwini.
Correct.
Go ahead, Anilesh.
You know, we know that how you want to restructure, the manufacturing units of yours. You have certain views about the private investments. Help us in understanding. There's almost more than now, almost 2 years that you are in office. Where have we reached? Are we building up capacities? Are we getting foreign investors? What is the situation like?
See, we have a very clear policy of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Our Prime Minister has very categorically mandated every important technology we have to become Atmanirbhar. Railway, telecom, digital, practically every large complex technology we are working methodically, assiduously, we are working in a way by which we are able to today confidently say that some of these technologies we have not only mastered for our own country, but we have started exporting. For example, in case of telecom, let me give that example first, then I come to railways. In case of telecom, some of the most complex equipment like the radio equipment which you see on the top of the tower, right? Those radio equipment are very, very complex. Today, made in India telecom equipment is getting exported to 40 plus countries.
Oh, wow.
Now this is something which was unthinkable 10 years back. Recently, Mr. Sunil Bharti Mittal, he said in the conference that he is there in the telecom industry for about 35 years. And he never thought that India will ever become a manufacturer of telecom equipment. But Modi ji has made it possible. Same is the case of railways, right? Our Vande Bharat train has basically helped us master 5 key technologies. 5 key technologies which position us today to be able to design the bullet train, right? So when we look at the train system, the 5 key technologies, the first technology is the interface between the track and the vehicle. Yes. The bogie, the wheel set, the brake, the bull gear, the motor which sits on it, the spring system, all those systems which are there, which are interacting with the wheel and the wheel and the vehicle, right? Second is the electrical system. Third is the vehicle control system. Fourth is all the subsystems which are basically serving the train. And fifth is the entire aerodynamic, the body of the train, right? All the 5 systems we have today, we are in a position where we have mastered them. We are doing continuous improvement, and I would like to thank India Today. You recently carried a report for where all the 25 big improvements which have happened.
Zero error or zero complaints. That's the one. Yes.
So I mean that's the approach that our Prime Minister has helped us think through, has inspired us to work in. Continuously improve, continuously keep improving whatever. Don't be satisfied wherever you are. Keep thinking of what else can you do to improve it.
So what about the conventional, locomotives, conventional wagons, conventional coaches? We also have to make more coaches,
Absolutely, absolutely. Our coach production, our locomotive production, our wagon production, everything has almost multiplied. It's not incremental change in the last 9.5 years, right? These are changes which are multifold. The total loco production used to be about 900 odd. Today it is close to double of that.
Wow.
The wagon production, now we are inducting close to 30,000 wagons a year. I have given you the data about tracks, right? Tracks and electrification I have given you. Most important part of the entire system is electronic interlocking for a system. We used to do just about 20 odd stations a year. Now we are doing about 400 stations a year. That is the kind of pace which has happened in railways in the last 9.5 years. What is visible is the cleanliness on the stations, right? Many of the new trains. But what has really gone in is huge investment on safety, huge investment on systems. For example, again, the number of accidents used to be during the 2004 to 14 period used to be about 170 accidents a year. That number has now drastically come down to about 45 accidents a year. So that much change has happened. It's a multifold change. It's not an incremental, and the momentum is built up now. In Modi ji's third term, you will see a large capacity increase in railways. You will see a huge shift of cargo from road to rail. You will see significantly better passenger experience. you will see about 1,000 stations already constructed to world-class standards.
Now, Ashwini, this is where Ashwini has become what he calls half a politician. He's already talked of Modi's third term and already chalked out what he wants to do over there. But I'm coming back to safety. And you're, I think, a very important point. And we saw what happened in Odisha and the tragedy of that accident that's there. You also told us, that the Kavach system is there. At what stage are we going to get this anti-collision sort of technology that is there? How have you worked on that particular aspect? Because we've had a series recently that has been quite disturbing.
No, this is a very important question, and I would like to answer it head on. The entire world, all the large railway systems in the world, they moved to ATCS, automatic train control systems, or what we call ATP, automatic train protection systems. ATP, ATCS systems, the entire world, I'm telling you, moved to ATP and ATCS in 1990s.
We might be a lay audience, but what is ATP?
I'll explain. I'll explain that. The entire world moved to these systems in 1990s. Now, when did India start on this journey? 2016.
Almost, oh really?
The country had
years.
to wait for a Prime Minister like Modi to start focusing on the core safety of railways. What was Congress doing all these years? My question is, the entire, so I'll give the context for it, right? When the trains used to run at 60, 70 kmph, 80 kmph, it was a totally different kind of system. When trains started moving beyond 100 kmph, imagine a train which is moving at 100 kmph, the time that a loco pilot gets to see a signal, right, and take cognizance of it and take action on it,
right,
that is a second or more.
It's like our braking time when we are
Correct?
driving a car.
It's
yes.
moving it very fast, so the time that you get to see a signal is very, very small, very small, like a fraction of a second sometimes. So all over the world, the railway systems basically took the signal logically, not physically I'm saying,
Right.
logically through technology into the cab of the driver, which means that the driver is able to see, for example, this is the driver's cab. The driver is able to see what is the signal aspect sitting in the cab itself.
Right.
Signal is, let's say, 5 kilometers away. Physically, the signal is 5 kilometers away. Logically, this driver is able to see the signal in the cab.
Right.
Correct?
Should be, yes.
That is the way ATP works.
Right.
Now, either the driver controls the speed, regulates the speed as per the signal aspect,
Right.
or the system itself will reduce the speed when the signal is asking the train to reduce the speed.
Right.
Correct?
Right. Got it.
Let's
yes.
say there is a red signal after 5 kilometers.
Right.
Now a train which is heavy, it has got huge momentum, that has to start the braking almost 1.5 kilometers before.
So it's automated, should be automated. yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that the entire world moved in 1990s, early 90s, actually late 80s in case of some of the developed countries. Our country had to wait till 2016 to start this journey.
And what have you done since
So
then?
2016, now these are safety systems which are SIL 4, Safety Integrity Level 4. So level 4 means you cannot allow one error in 10,000 years.
Oh,
Imagine the magnitude
Okay.
of this.
right.
SIL 4 standard, Safety Integrity Level 4.
Right.
SIL 4 means you can allow only one deviation from the defined behavior of a system in 10,000 years of operation.
So, right.
That is how aviation safety systems are built.
And this is what Kavach is.
Kavach is designed for SIL 4.
Okay.
So 2016, the system was completed. Design
Indigenously built, I would gather.
Correct. Our design was completed. 2017 and 18, many of the tests were done. 2019 onwards, The installation started. 2020 and 21 were COVID years. 2021 onwards, the ramp up has started. Initially, 1,500 kilometers per year capacity. Now we already reached about 3,000 kilometers per year. Now we are ramping up to about 5,000 kilometers per year kind of capacity for installing Kavach.
You have about what, 68,000 kilometers of rail?
Correct. So we will take it on a mission mode, the way electrification has happened.
Right.
Exactly the same way Kavach installation will happen in our railway system, and that will bring about a huge phenomenal difference in safety, because even if the driver misses the signal, the Kavach will automatically apply the
Break
brake,
the brake
right?
on this one.
It's a very complex system, and I'm very happy the way our engineers, the way the system is getting designed. We are separating the two logical layers in it, right? The train control system and the communication layer. The architecture is today in a way by which the communication can move from UHF to 4G to 5G to 6G.
Wow.
And train control can basically evolve as per the train's requirement. And the world today is actually so very interested in this new architecture and new system that I can very assuredly tell you that in coming years we will be exporting Kavach to the world.
Let's give him a very warm round of applause. I mean, you've explained it brilliantly. I think we should, you can anytime step into our shoes in terms of communication. So simply and, with a very logical approach. Congratulations for that. I just wanted to, before Anilesh comes in again, he's again on the trigger like this.
These are my old friends.
We are old. Just wanted to, since you talked about technology and mentioned 6G, what is the technological transformation you have done in the ministries that you head? You talked about Kavach in many senses, bringing the latest technology. Let's go to telecommunications. You've done 5G. We put it on the cover of India Today. You're hitting at 6G. Where are we going on that aspect of infrastructure and the technology that we're trying to bring in?
See, the developed countries, many of the rich countries, they started their 5G rollout in 2019.
Right.
We started in 2022, 1st October. But already we have surpassed almost all the big economies, and we are among the top 2 5G ecosystems in the world within a very short duration. Already we have crossed about 380,000 base stations which are radiating 5G signal. Now the second important point is, in our broadband speed, we have jumped by about 48 positions in this very brief period of last 9.5 years. Third, the world over, one of the most complex technology system is the 4G, 5G telecom technology,
right,
end to end. I'm not just talking of one equipment or one piece of the system, but end to end. And end to end, there are only 4 countries and 5 companies which have this technology end to end. 2 from China, 1 from South Korea, 2 from Europe, basically 1 from Finland, another 1 from Sweden. We are now the 6th player in this game who has been able to develop the entire telecom technology end to end.
Just to add to your this thing, in space we call it the exclusive club.
Yes.
When we have satellites, launchers, and now Chandrayaan moon. We don't acknowledge this in telecom. You've reached that exclusive club.
And this was only and only possible because our Prime Minister was clear, absolutely crystal clear, that this is one technology that we must master. And we must become exporter of this. And I'm very happy to say already parts of it we have started exporting to Europe, to US, and I feel so happy sharing this with you that some of these rich developed economies are now looking up to us as the country which will be among the leading 3 countries which will develop the 6G system.
Warm round of applause for him. Anilesh?
This is a game changer.
Ashwini bhai, when we talk about 5G rollout, rollout is brilliant. But, when will we get actually the 5G speed? Right now the speed is really...
On speed, the independent monitors, they have given the data. We have jumped about 78 positions in the global test. On network satisfaction, we have now 32% increase in network satisfaction. You are a tough taskmaster, you will never be satisfied. But on network satisfaction, we have 32% increase in network satisfaction after 5G rollout. We must understand that this kind of rapid rollout, despite this rapid rollout, practically across the country, we are getting continuous feedback. The feedback is very good from the customers, from independent observers, from auditors, technical auditors. The feedback is really good.
And you were also doing a pilot project between Chandigarh and Dehradun to test the indigenous 5G.
This is the 4G, 5G technology stack.
So what is the status now? Where are
It's
we?
doing very well. A very, very large system. So in lab, we did huge testing. So when we deployed it, we are on 4G and 5G part of it. We are absolutely good, absolutely as per the lab performance. On its integration with the legacy 2G, there are still some integration issues which we are working on, but hopefully we should be another 20-30 days, we should start scaling it up to a very significant level.
I wanted to talk to you, he talked about the quality of the calls that are going through, and one of the things we have here is, we end up making WhatsApp calls when we should be, in the past we would have these LAN-to-LAN calls, but nowadays WhatsApp calls seem to be better connected. That's one issue. Second is, and why is this happening? And second is, we seem to be heading towards a duopoly in terms of service providers. Is that a good thing to happen? And what are you all doing about it? Because is that a reflection? Our poor quality sometimes a reflection of the fact that we are duopoly?
I'll explain the technology behind it. Till 2G, the communication used to be basically voice is getting converted into digital and then transmitted over the air. Other side is once again converting back it into voice and giving it, right? That was the conventional transition from wireline to wireless, right? Wireline used to be exactly the same. Voice is getting converted into an electrical signal. That electrical signal gets transmitted over wire and then you hear it back in form of voice. Voice is a pressure wave. Electrical wave to pressure wave. That is the conversion which is happening. In 3G, partially the network became digital. What does it mean? It means that your entire switching, switching as in if Raj is calling Ashwini, how does the network connect? How does the network connect Raj with Ashwini, right? That switching part of it, that connection part of it, used to be mechanical to electrical to semi-digital. In 4G, it is completely digital, which means your phone has an IP number, my phone has an IP number. When I communicate with you, I basically communicate through a router which connects me to an IP, and that IP is your IP, which gets connected with my IP, and we get the call done, right? So understand the change which has happened in technology.
So you have a mix of technology.
So there is nothing like a voice call now. Even the voice call that you see
is actually going through your...
basically a digital call.
So
if you set your phone properly, then your voice call and your WhatsApp call and your Viber call and your Signal call all will have the same setting.
I see.
Because all calls are basically digital today. Correct?
So smartly, like a politician, he has shifted the goal.
No. Duopoly. I haven't forgotten the question. The fact is that you've got two big players.
Don't worry. I'm not a person who will duck a question. Right? I want to take things head on, and I love it that way. Right? We have done everything that was possible to do from government perspective in the reforms of September 2021 and the subsequent period, where we have de-stressed the industry. We have made sure that the industry comes out of its legacy issues of series of litigations, myriad of problems. It has come out, it has come back, it is now healthy, it is bouncing, new investment is happening. Close to 1.5 lakh crore investment has happened. I can see a renewed interest in telecom across the world in India's telecom sector.
Okay.
Right? The industry also has to come, when we take 5 steps, industry also has to take 2 steps. This is the time when the industry has to pick up the baton and actually do what we have done for them. I can see in future India's telecom sector, already India's telecom sector is being viewed as a sunrise sector, and we'll see good competition, good technology and good quality of service.
Ashwini bhai, one of the solutions to this problem is to revive BSNL. So BSNL you have already brought into operating profits.
Yes.
But how can we offload the legacy burden on the balance sheet? And what is the vision of the present government, where they want to take BSNL?
So BSNL, it's a very important question. Thank you for asking it. BSNL had 3 major problems. One, it had a very, very bad balance sheet. 2, there were issues about technology. 3rd, there were issues about quality of talent. All the 3 points we have worked in a very methodical way. First, the balance sheet has been fully repaired. A large part of legacy issues which were caused primarily during the UPA 2 and part of UPA 1 governments, all those legacy issues have been wiped away. We have cleaned up all those legacy issues. Today, BSNL has a very healthy balance sheet. Second, technology. Already our 4G, 5G technology developed in India is getting deployed on the BSNL network. 3, large number of talent is getting, people are getting new type of training. Many of the people who had, who wanted to take VRS, they have been given VRS. In a sense, the workforce is now much leaner and much more competent. There is a continuous focus on training. There is continuous focus on making sure that the organization gets some fresh blood and fresh technology. So the net, the result is today BSNL is having operating profit. It has reduced the debt burden by, we will be publishing the results very soon. Actually, we would have published it recently. I'll be able to share that with you. The debt has reduced significantly. Almost 80% of the debt has been removed, and interest burden has reduced. In the coming 12 months, you'll see BSNL as a healthy company which has a significantly stabilizing influence on the market.
I just wanted
just
to
supplementary to this. If we
This
see,
time I'll be looking at it.
Yeah, look at it.
I'm so sorry
He's
about
been
it.
trigger happy.
If we see the private sector telecom players, their structure is very different. But in BSNL, everything is bundled together in a one company. If we look at Airtel, their tower business is different. They had disinvested their tower business. Their front end is different. Their back end is different. How are you structuring BSNL so that in future, even if say UPA 3 or INDA 1 comes,
Forget that.
so they
that
don't
is not,
able to.
That is not going to happen.
He's looking at NDA 3.
UPA 3 is not going to happen. Don't worry.
So any future government, if they don't take care of the company, it doesn't get into a trouble again. So
See, I frankly feel that some of the core issues, they need to be addressed first. Other things are non-core. I would say you unbundle all those things. There are so many consultants who have given this kind of advice. But my point, my focus and government's focus has been very clearly on solving the core first. And the core is technology and balance sheet. These 2 points we need to first address head on, solve for it, and then move to other things. We have solved for the balance sheet part of it. Now we are focused on getting the right technology. Next 12 months, our focus is purely on scaling up the 4G, 5G rollout, making sure that BSNL network is good quality, robust network. It's a very reliable network. I'll tell you, I moved around in the rural areas of many of the states, and everywhere people are asking this question, when is BSNL going to get the 4G? Give us 4G, right? That question is coming from people because they want BSNL as a reliable player. That is going to happen in the next 12 months. So let us first focus on solving the core, then we can settle the other non-core issues.
A more fundamental question. We saw in the aviation sector, we had Air India, which was the government run. The government has sold Air India and it's got out of the airline business. Telecom is almost similar in terms of that approach. Why is it that the government should run BSNL? Why can't it be in the private sector like the aviation sector? Why are you feeding a loss-making unit? That's public money. That's the argument the critics put.
See, there is a very, very significant difference between telecom sector and other sectors. Today, practically every piece of financial and business transaction or entertainment or commerce that you do is in your digital equipment. Whether it's your laptop, whether it's your tab, whether it's your phone. World over, people have realized the way industries and economies have digitalized, telecom has become from a normal commercial to a strategic sector. World over.
Right.
Not just, I met with digital ministers of more than 20 countries by now. Each one of them thinks that telecom sector has to be fundamentally seen as a strategic sector, the way we see the defense sector, the way we see many crucial sectors. Telecom has to be seen like that. That's why we need one strong, one stable, one robust government sector player.
You make a good argument for that, but when you come to railways, for instance, many of the railways in Europe and others are privatized to a large extent, whether it's rail maintenance, whether manufacturing of coaches. What is the direction you'd like to go on that aspect? Do you want privatization to come in a big way, or what are your constraints on that front?
See, I've told it on the floor of the parliament. We are not privatizing railways.
And
we are very clear for it. I'll tell you 5 reasons for it. The first reason, railways is a very, very complex system. Very complex. Each and every subsystem is interconnected. If you hit the leg, the pain will be in head.
Right.
That is the kind of interconnection of these subsystems. It's very difficult for any one player to be able to do justice to all the subsystems, first. 2, railways is very important for making sure that our economy grows by 6 to 8% over next 20 years. If you purely put commercial consideration, there will be so many parts of the network which will not make sense when looked in isolation, but will make sense when looked as a network. Right? A network is a network and a section is a section. We have to understand the difference between pieces of a network and the totality of the network.
Sure.
Right? If we lose out that big picture, then we'll miss out big time on our economic growth. We have, I can argue, I can give you a 1.5 hour lecture on this. I've read such fat books on railway systems in the world that I can give you 1.5 hour lecture on this. Countries which adopted some of the experts' advice and unbundled railways and partially privatized, let me not take the name. One of the ministers of a very rich and developed country, he told me, Ashwini, when he told that when he was young, he used to take pride that his railway has 99.9% punctuality. And because of the multilateral bodies, I won't take any names, some of those experts, they came and they said, unbundle everything, big banks and all. So they came and said, unbundle everything, unbundle infrastructure, keep the rolling stock separate, have separate privatization. Today they are at 85% punctuality. And a section which is equivalent to our Mumbai-Delhi section, Now they are required to shut it down for 4.5 months to make sure that the tracks are fit again. It's not a easy system, I tell you. Railways is a very, very complex system, highly technical, highly, I would say, operation research oriented, highly technology oriented. It's a very, very complex system. It's not a system that anybody can understand in a few years. It takes 20-25 years to understand this system, to basically understand how the 5-6 subsystems are interacting with each other.
Excellent.
So it doesn't make any sense to follow people who have seen only the elephant's leg or elephant's tusk to be able to give their advice.
No
right?
blind men of Hindustan.
Ashwini, I want to understand, you had a very ambitious plan of building countries' semiconductor capacity.
Good question.
And I know this issue is very close to your heart. But suddenly we saw that Foxconn and Vedanta's, they split and they decided to sidestep. One, what went wrong? And second, where are we now heading? Are we rethinking? Are we coming up with some new plan?
No, absolutely. See, our program started on 1st January 2022. Our Prime Minister approved it on 15 December 21. Program was uploaded, policy was uploaded on 1st January 22. We promised to the country that within the first 14 to 18 months, we will have the first approval, right? Within the first 16th month, construction of the first unit has started. Construction of the first unit has started.
This is the fab unit or?
The OSAT unit
OSAT.
of Micron.
Right.
And this is a very complex piece of technology. People, when they hear ATMP, they think that packaging is like packaging of glass, right? It's not like that. It's a very, very complex. I wish I had brought a wafer and shown it to you.
Last time, Ashwini Saab actually showed me his entire range of the 5G network. Personally went and showed me what we are making in India. But yes, continue.
Right?
Yes.
If you see that wafer, the chip is basically millionth time of the tip of your nail, right? It's that fine. Extracting that small part of it from the wafer, building a multi-story chip, like building a multi-story building where there will be a power supply system, a plumbing system, a lift system, stairs, connectivity, everything, building that chip, that's what is getting constructed. That is the factory which is getting constructed now. It's a huge, huge success. And that success has given so much confidence to the entire world that I can promise you within the next 12 months, you'll see many more units coming to the country. And I'll tell you, there are multiple advantages. One, very large design ecosystem. We were initially estimating about 52,000 design engineers. And our recent report, which has come from the industry, the number is actually about 160,000 design engineers in the world. And all the course curriculums of the engineering colleges, we have revised, already updated it to latest standard. We have started a new course in IISc where actually a student can, the way you move in a metaverse, you can move inside a fab and learn how that etching happens, how the chip is extracted, how the plasma operates. That entire system is today available to our students for learning and growing their talent. It's a significant stride that we have taken in the very short time. And that is what is giving so much confidence to the world, sincerity of Modi government, sincerity and clear communication that yes, this is the time period in which our government will do, and within that time frame our government is delivering. That confidence is what is driving the entire industry towards us.
But when can we have, more players like Foxconn and others? Micron is one.
Micron is among the top 5 in the world.
But, we need competition as well, right?
Don't worry, we'll have many more. The way you eat your potato chips, you'll get the semiconductor chips, don't worry.
But I just wanted to take on technology and bring it right back to infrastructure. And since your ministry, railways, how much of technology in terms of, say, multimodal, in terms of swift movement of logistics, what is in that area, what are you trying to do, and where are we reaching on that technology?
Excellent question. Our Prime Minister is so very focused on multimodal that in the last budget, he approved 100 multimodal Gati Shakti cargo terminals.
Okay.
Very happy to share with you, already 154 applications have been received, almost 116 approved.
Wow.
And 43 multimodal cargo terminals commissioned.
And how will it be
started?
Okay, how will it be different? Tell us, because I don't think people have seen multimodal, barring those who are in the business. What is the new thing that you're doing in these terminals?
See, the fundamental idea is that you should be able to reach from factory to the port in the shortest possible time in a seamless manner, right? That's the most fundamental construct of a multimodal terminal. How do you do that? First and foremost, you have to make sure that your railway network is highly accessible to you. So in December of 2021, 15 December to be precise, we uploaded the policy for Gati Shakti cargo terminal. The time which used to take for connecting a terminal to railway network, which used to be on an average about 4 years, has come down to 3.5 months.
Wow.
Right? That is the change. That is the change which has happened. Two, we are saying that the private sector which wants to join the railway network doesn't have the maintenance capability, because it's a very small section which will be connecting the terminal to the network. You can't have very expensive 150 crore machines to be operating on a 1.5 kilometer or 2 kilometer or a 6 kilometer stretch, right? So we structured the policy in a way where some of the complex things which are not possible to be as we say in the PPP, the risks should be allocated to the party which is best positioned to take it, right? That's a fundamental principle of a good contract. So in our policy, we said that some of the most complex things which are good, which are easily handled by the railways, should be done by railways, which are easily handled by the partner, should be done by the partner. That kind of policy we created. And that has given us a huge boost, and I'm very confident that the target was 100, but in the coming 3 to 4 years, we should be having almost 400 or 500 such terminals.
Let's give them warm run. We're running out of time. You have this, then I'll have the last word.
Ashwini bhai, two of your ministries, IT and Telecom, they got bulk of PLI projects. So what is the vision like? When can we have 100% India-made, India-designed mobile phone?
Listen, today only we approved and announced, and 27 companies will be manufacturing laptops, servers, and many of them are designed in India, and tablets. And I was just polling them. Out of the 27, 23 say we are already prepared for starting the construction today.
Wow.
That is the confidence of the industry in Modi ji's policies.
Government is late or they are early?
No. They are trying to catch up with government is the thing, because the government is moving so fast. Now they have understood the pace and they are also moving. I must also tell you that one of our biggest critic, Dr. Raghuram Rajan, he recently said, he acknowledged that yes, the value addition in India is now growing up, right?
So can we expect a fully indigenous 5G connection loaded on a fully Indian designed, Indian manufactured mobile phone? Ashwini Vaishnaw will be tweeting in the May 2024 that his party has got
Wait करो,
majority.
थोड़ा wait करो, अच्छी चीज आएगी. I shouldn't be telling everything on India Today. There should be somebody else also who should get the good news.
He is completely made in India, no made in Bharat.
I
don't know.
know we used to work on the Swadeshi Jagran Manch together. So.
But finally, in terms of coming back to what we're discussing, if you had to look at one or the next top priority in the next 3-4 months, what would you focus on? What is it that and why?
Listen, some of the initiatives which have happened over the last 9.5 years have reached very good maturity. Many of them are reaching completion. Many of them have reached a level where the scaling up is happening. Focus is to make sure that the initiatives which are there in telecom, in digital, in railways, all these are steadily moving, and you can also see the difference which they are making in people's lives. Ultimately, what is the test of the policy? Test of the policy is the policy should be able to bring a very significant sense of satisfaction in very ordinary families' lives.
The user.
Very ordinary business person's lives. Smallest business person should be able to feel that yes, that the government's policies are helping that particular business. I've interacted with thousands and thousands of people across the travel across my journeys, and everywhere the common citizen today tells us that yes, there is a big difference in the railways. So our endeavor is to make sure that that thing continues, that thing strengthens, that becomes a very strong habit. That's what we think.
So from the last mile to the last family, let's give Ashwini Vaishnaw a very, very warm round of applause. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.